Good evening, Salot in Adlanot. Good evening, say hi, say what's up. Dogots in see the throw it in the comments. Ne zuna doge then not Daisy, it always a C I then see. But welcome no baho aunt asa. See Willis Janvier, who shaped in Telas tours in La Loche, Saskatchewan, Clearwater River, Dene Nation band member at the Hayes, and doing Zenege Treaty for us home of the Cremate Sioux Assiniboine. All Indigenous people love Dene drumming and singing. Yes, shout out to Lyon and Dene drummers. Lyon, first time dalut tuanet lag brochet Durashenok Awas Alani, and you can use it. So it's must see then for allowing Dene direct because they can't be everywhere, you know. Like bro sheni down but anyways, enough about that. Duna ano but guess who's do we no halat in a Navajo nation. It's do no hal Shiprock, New Mexico. It's and isn't call it Beardies and Honinjania 22 years ago hanilat llun kola llun be a tiedi det au and net isi honal time the the all the teachings u konti se yanze bagayel tu and maybe of course mental healthy but Yelti hadon Kani Thelelant a youth conference nahi a year. That's where I first met him, and the conference in Ashjo, the Sint Taza. So I really appreciate that you're Yansa Yail and now another noni throw don't isiega huntati kiaza. So with that, Masi Choner Husun Duna Azalun Tadult Iha. Don't ask Telu the Bonul the Yat Jason Dlanet.
Yat Lanet Willis.
I'm good. I'm good. How was your evening? How was your day? I know you just got off work.
Oh, it's been a good day. Another good day and another a day to be grateful for. You know.
Yes, yes, that's what it's all about, And Jason, I want to say Masi Choner for joining me here today. Just ask you to introduce yourself, and we'll get this going.
Hey, thank you again, Willis, for asking me to come on here. She Jason Bitsuie and she Ashien Shlom Betani Bashchin Touchin da Che Ishne da Chanel the nest teen Shle not Ani Nes de Nasha Gade Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, Shawan. Um, yeah, I just gonna introduce myself and like I said, my name is Jason Bitsuie and born I'm of the Salt clan and born for the within the cover or folded arm clan. That's who I'm born for, and my maternal grandfathers are red running through the water clan. My paternal clan is the mud clan, and from Shiprock, New Mexico, but now living in Duck Lake, Saskatchewan, close to the Beardies Reserve. I don't live on the reserve, but live close by there. Kind of.
Mm.
Yeah, no, like been living up here for about 22 years now, Canada. So kind of made it through another winter. This past winter was long. Oh man.
22 years later, still not used to the winter.
Yeah, I always say I don't think a person ever gets used to it. You just kind of learn to dress for it.
Yeah, that's
But
true. It's even worse when you got arthritis or something.
but it's kind of funny because when I was working further north, like up in Fond du Lac or up in that area, northern Saskatchewan, I always found it colder up there. So when I came back down, like around Saskatoon area, it was always warmer. So
Mm-hmm. It's funny how that works, eh? You know, you're in
Yeah,
the same province, but up
yeah,
there -20, they probably out in
in shorts.
hoodies and sweatshirts. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that's
yeah.
crazy.
And people ask me, so what do you think? And I get off the plane and like, oh shoot, it's warm here. It's like, man, you're crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, even this past weekend too, I went all the way north of Manitoba. It was the ice was still there, so the wind it was coming off there. It was a bit chilly still, you know.
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah, I
slim guy.
imagine. Yeah, the ice is still a lot of those lakes, and it'll
Yeah,
be
yeah,
another couple of weeks before you get on those lakes and go fishing.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
awesome fishing though. Some of the best fishing up there. Just
yeah.
easy. Yeah.
Nezu, Nezu. Well, Jason, you know, I know you mentioned with me before that when we first met, you know, thanks for stopping me too. You know, a lot of people I don't creep their page or anything, but they watch me and they come up to me and they say, you know, so I don't always know who's who, but thank you for coming up to me and introducing yourself too. You just mentioned as you went up north, you know, you kind of got to meet a lot of the Dene people. What was that like for you? You know, you're a Navajo, Dene, and then coming up north and visiting and working alongside other Dene people and hearing the language too, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was quite the experience actually. But in a way it was I kinda thought it was kinda felt like home too, because kinda where I grew up, the reservation, it's a very large reservation, but also like some of these communities are kinda way out, kinda in the middle of nowhere in some of these communities that don't have like running water or electricity, stuff like that. So, because like for instance, like Fond du Lac, um, like in the winter, the only time you can get there is on ice road or flying in, and then summertime it's by boat getting across that big lake or flying in, right?
Hmm.
And same thing with Wollaston. So, but no, it was quite the experience, and met a lot of good people, and just kind of talking with elders up there, just kind of learning, kind of what life is like up there, and then also like just learning that there's that connection, I guess, that we have, and um, like one elder I was talking to, he was telling me, he said, we actually have a Pueblo pottery that we have from down your area, and he told me they apparently, I guess they got it from a, a trading area down by Lethbridge, Alberta, which was apparently, I think, was a big trading area for a lot of tribes way back. So and yeah, like it was like I said, it was quite the experience, and to meet meet relatives up that way, and and like we as and Dene people, we got relatives everywhere. Like we even got relatives apparently in Russia. So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is quite amazing. And,
I've heard of that too. I've heard there was it Russian? One of the words actually originates in the Dene language, I believe.
yeah,
I'm not exactly sure where, but yeah,
yeah, we'll have to tell those guys to straighten out that guy there. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, definitely do some research there for sure. You know, Jason, when you first went up there and you heard the language, what was that like for you? Kind of, did you understand a bit, or you know, any of the if you picked it apart or anything?
yeah, there was like some words like I could pick up on, and then I also kind of noticed there was a little bit of I guess I had a little bit of French influence also. So um, like for instance, like the numbering, like 1 to 5 was pretty much the same. and then like certain body parts also was and then even like the difference between and similarity between like saying dog and horse.
Hmm.
So and it was kind of the opposite, and which I found pretty unique, and it was no, it was good, just kind of talking with them, and then just kind of talking about what life is like up there and how they lived, and just trying to understand, what um, trying to find out what life was before pre-contact, before then, and I know there was probably ceremonies that was well, we as indigenous people, we've always had like ceremonies and this our traditions,
Hmm.
and it's just like some of it unfortunately has been lost, and a lot of it uh, for certain reasons, like the being colonized and all of that, which is uh which is kind of ironic because we had those leaders that went over to the Vatican to visit with the Pope, in
Hmm.
regards to residential school and trying to pressure the Pope in regards to what is that, this doctrine of discovery,
Hmm.
because that's one thing that has really affected us in here in Canada and US, like with residential schools, and we had boarding schools down south as well. Like a lot of lives were lost, young children, and so had to kind of some pretty big trauma, I guess, to
Yeah.
work through. So uh, maybe
The doctrine of discovery, it still affects us today. It's funny how a document that's over 100 years old, it's a lot of influence. I like the points that you made about the French influence. I know my last name is French, and
yeah,
some of the things I've looked at too is what would my last name have been if they weren't, or what would I've been, like that's why I want to go into a bit about the teachings, and then a lot of the teachings you grew up with as a kid, and I know you have your language and all that stuff, and then I will point out that don't be afraid to use your language, but just kind of
mhm,
fill us in after. I wish we could
yeah,
have a conversation, but we're not able to do that. But don't be shy to speak the net, and but talk to us about the teachings, and maybe you've been up north and you come from the south, that if there were similarities or any of that stuff.
yeah. Like yeah, there's quite a bit of similarities, I guess, like in the old teachings. Like I'll give you an example. Like um, growing up, as a child, and as you're growing up, your grandparents or your parents, they one of the very things that they stressed was learning how to get up early in the morning and run, run before that sun rises, and just like you would be told like get up like Ndi lied. That's what they would tell us, and because they say like when you do that, you wake up and you go run, and you run to the east, and you awaken your spirit, your you awaken it, and you also like yell, you give a yell when you run, and that's your the deities, the gods, like your relatives, that you're awake, and they bless you, they say they bless you with good things, and they say, like the creator recognizes you and says that's my child, and it's trying to do something good for him for themselves, and and as you run, you breathe in that air, that fresh air, and it's the elements, the elements in nature. You breathe that in, and that helps heal you. Whatever you're, maybe you kind of got some ailments, or or you're, something that's bothering you, or something, that helps release those things, and it also kind of helps, makes you stronger, like mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, and that's kind of all part of how you kind of build yourself up. Because they would say, as time goes on, you're gonna get older, you're gonna, like, you're gonna have a family and have kids, you're gonna have go through tough times, and you need to build yourself up, and that's how you get through those tough times. And even like, as like, if it would be snowing, or if it's kind of the weather's like not the very best, they would tell you to get out there, like, go, maybe go look for the sheep or the cattle or something like that, just to, they'd say, like, you need to kind of basically just toughen up, I guess, toughen up as a human being, like, because you need that. And so they would really stress that, and and then uh, and then even like, they also had like teachings, like, one thing, like my dad says, he always says, you always, kind of try to be in your present moment, because that's when you're the closest to the creator. You try to not let your mind wander, because when you kind of let your mind wander, you kind of, you're not focused on the things you're doing. And he always says, like, the best time to do it is like when you're driving, right? Because when you're driving down the road, you're not really focused on the actual driving. You start to think about, what you're gonna do tomorrow, or about something about yesterday. So you're not really focused on what you're doing. So, but if you learn how to train your mind to kind of be in your present moment, then you you strengthen your mind, so you learn how to focus. And so those are a couple of things that you do. And so in relation to kind of like, like the relatives up north, like, one elder told me, he said, like, how they used to trap and get, like caribou. He said we would use dogs. He said we never used like sleds or anything. And so you'd have to run basically sometimes ahead of your dog team, and you have to kind of make the track, right? So you'd go so far, and then you come back, and then you move your dogs through, and then kind of keep doing that till you can get to where you need to be. So you have to really kind of push yourself, and because it's like it was your livelihood too, right? So you have to feed your family and whatnot. So those, I noticed, like, in that way, those teachings were pretty similar.
Hmm.
Uh,
It's very interesting how, like you mentioned already, we are somehow related.
yeah,
I know that the net say we went north, but up here we say you guys went south. And how they come together. And I know, from one of the Navajo living up here too in Saskatchewan. I learned from her. They always said, don't mess around with the people that went north. Is that something you heard?
yeah, that's kind of one of the things I heard. And then one of the things I also heard, I went out to Sutina, out by Calgary, because we got some Dene relatives out that way also. And there's an elder by the name of Bruce Starlight. and he told me that like over there they have a story, I guess, that they say there was a disagreement. I guess it was in regards to a dog. I guess that was trespassing or something into a teepee, and there was a disagreement, and there was because of that we separated. But then he also said, like he went down south and they kind of got together, and I guess they did some doings, because of that saying. I guess that we weren't supposed to kind of come together again. That's that's what I heard out that way. But yeah, I've heard that we weren't really supposed to kind of come together again.
Mm-hmm. I wonder what actually happened, back in the day. No, nobody to post on their Facebook or Instagram,
Yeah,
somewhere. It's probably written on a rock somewhere.
yeah, yeah. It
You
is pretty
that's
true.
but that's what this is for now. You got people, the net people that come on here and share their bit of knowledge, and somehow we just build something from that. And I know we've did this before too. I wanna hear more of your language, and kind of show people. I'm sure there's the net listeners here today. Uh,
Hmm.
Chi for us is dog, and Chi
Yeah,
Cho is horse. And what about you guys?
yeah. Ours clean is horse and Feicha is dog.
Yeah,
And
it's funny.
when you actually, I think when you actually, I heard when you break it down, um, I guess the reason why it's the way it is because, like, I guess maybe for us, we use the horse. I guess we use the horse to kind of carry weight, or use it for like transportation kind of thing, and like pull wagon, or you load a horse up, and you kind of use it to haul your supplies or whatever. And for you guys, I guess it was you used the dog, right? So kind of used it in that way.
Hmm.
So I kind of heard that that's kind of when you break it actually down. That's how the I guess they're similar but different in a way. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's very interesting. I've never heard that actually. I guess it's always interesting to find out the origins of words too. It's like
yeah,
road, tulu. It's
yeah,
tu is water for us. Tu is water. Lu is frozen water. So
yeah,
because
yeah.
that's
And even within our language, there's some things that you could take a different way. Um, I'll give you an example. There was this elder. He was telling a story, and I guess he was him and his wife. They were driving down the road, and then they kind of went off the road, and they got into the sand, and so then they got stuck. So he got out, and he told his wife, I'm gonna push on the vehicle and to get it out, and he pressed on the gas. And so then she pressed on the gas, and the wheels was just spinning. And the husband goes, "Oh, not Lord!" And the wife heard him, and she just got out of the vehicle, and then she just started walking away. As like, and he was trying to say like the wheel was just spinning, but what she heard was, just go, just walk away or something." So,
yeah.
so
And she left.
yeah, and she just left.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that can definitely happen too, especially, if different regions.
Oh yeah,
I've learned, from just I like to talk about Lac Brochet because a lot of they're in the far north, but they use a T dialect, and then in
yeah,
between there's a K, and then there's a T again. And but when it comes to the region, they have a bit of an accent, and you're gonna, use just like last week there. Fred Dene he shared this with me, and
Mm.
for Salah means for us it would mean my cousin, and but for them up there it would mean my so my spouse's siblings other half.
Okay.
So let's say, okay, me, I would say Salah if I was married, if I ever get there, but their sister or sibling, and then so her sister's husband would be Salah. That's how I would. That's what he shared with me last
Mm.
week. So, but the different things in the different regions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I never really, because Salah means cousin, and
Mm.
Fred, I'm going to be chatting with him in the future. And Jason, you've shared a lot of good stuff that that I haven't really learned, and I'm sure a lot of listeners are. But I want to hear more of the net language. If you want to share a story or any teachings in the net language, maybe some people can probably try to pick some of it out. I know I will do myself. Try to find whatever I hear, but it's up to you. Whatever story or teaching you wanna share, and just as long as it's in the net language.
Um. Yeah, let me see. What could I share? What else?
Maybe about the creation story, clan systems, teaching,
Um.
becoming now I
You
know
know.
I've actually heard the when you becoming a woman, I believe the ceremony. I've heard a
Yeah.
little bit. Maybe becoming a boy to a man, if there's
Well.
something like that.
Actually, it's kind of. Um, I just kind of want to share. Yeah. I guess like for a young boy, coming becoming a man. Because I took my family out to Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation over the weekend to a culture camp, and I was kind of asking, the elders, they had a ceremony, like for young men that to that that were young boys that became men. They had a ceremony that they did, um, and there were some things that they shared, and like for us, we use for a young boy that's become a man when his voice changes, we use the sweat, and they uh, they basically it's kind of almost, well, not really similar to the women, but the boys they go in the sweat, and then they also kind of help mold the young man, kind of give good thoughts for them, about their life and the kind of life that they're going to live, the kind of man that they're going to live and be a man. Like, and then they also run. They run to the east. That's the same thing, like for the women, that they do. And but as far as like as a young man, and way back, there was a lot of arranged marriages, and there was no there was no not like the way it is now, and a lot of young men, they were basically told, you have to prepare yourself, and there was lots of things that you had to do, and you had to prepare your mind, and they would tell young boys, you're just young, your mind is very fragile, and how you kind of go about things, and so they would say you have to do certain things to help prepare yourself, and one of those, and I think as a man, your mental health is very important, because they say, our development doesn't end until like what, we're 30 or something like that, and women are like 20.
Hmm.
So we as men, I think we always have to kind of work on ourselves and do things, and women being life life givers, they're very powerful. uh, And one thing, like my dad kind of tells me, is it's a lot of times, how you look at things is very important. Always keeping a positive mind, especially when negative things happen. You know, and when something happens where you run into a problem or something goes wrong, you always would say, you can't just fall apart and just start thinking negative. You know, because when you start thinking negative, you're working against yourself already. You're putting a barrier there that you kind of put there yourself. And within our ceremonies, and that's the same way. Like our medicine men, that's the teachings. The When you go, get a ceremony done, they they'll ask you, like, kind of ask you what's going on, or and a lot of times they'll tell you, it's kind of you yourself that's kind of doing this to yourself. Whatever you're doing, how you think about yourself, and how just your outlook on life, plays a lot, and
Hmm.
so that, and I was always told, it's very important to look at things in a positive way. And I'll give you another example, or an example is just the whole idea of maybe like working or going to school. A lot of people, they when they work or go to school, the weekend comes, and like when they leave school or work, they're happy and everything. Monday comes around, and they think, oh man, I got the Monday blues, and they just kind of bring themselves down. But instead of thinking, like, hey, I'm going back to work, I'm going to get a lot of good blessings for this and be able to support my family, my kids, be able to do things like some good things with this. Instead of looking at it that way, then just kind of motivating yourself that way,
Hmm.
and
A lot of good stuff about sharing what the elders share with you. I know you have a couple of sons, maybe three, maybe.
I got four, well, five, yeah,
Okay,
five
okay.
sons, yeah.
In the Dene Navajo language, whatever you have been taught growing up as a child, what is something you would say to them now, the teachings that you still carry with from back home, to your sons now? What does that sound like in in the Danet language, if
Um,
and then share with us in English after.
well, one of the things I always tell them is, um, as a the net person, you know, you we should tell. It's kind of like it's all up to you, Whatever you do in life, you make it for yourself. There's nobody else, and you in this world you have to be self-sufficient, for yourself, and and try to always do things for yourself. And because, like, well, I remember growing up, my grandparents, they used to tell us, like, we're not going to be here forever. You got to learn how to do things for yourself, and as harsh as that sounds, it's it's reality. And mm, it's I guess, it's like kids nowadays, it's tough, all the things that they have to go through, like social media, it's taken it to another level, and they gotta kind of navigate through this world, through all of that. And I think really that affects them, like, mentally, like, Um, it's I don't know. Like I say, like the technology is a good thing and a bad thing, and I tell my kids, I always say, you know, uh, like technology can go just in the blink of an eye. There's things out there, like for instance, like there's um, like say a power grid going out, power's gone, can't even get money, can't even pump gas. What are you gonna do? Or now they got weapons, they can take electronic stuff out and electrical grids also. So, and I tell them, you got to learn these old ways. There's a reason, your ancestors, they said these things, and you they knew things, and that and they were very powerful people back then, the way I look at it, very strong people, and that's why I say, we're still here, as much as like we were supposed to be basically extinct, and but I always say, we're resilient people. There's a reason why we're here, and I basically tell them, there's whatever you do in life, you yourself gonna have to make it happen. Nobody else. And I always tell them too, your mind, your thought case, and how you think about things, very very important, because how you look at things, and that's going to determine your decisions that you make, and so try to instill that in them, you know uh, and then just try to take them to like ceremonies, and like cultural doings, and try to let them learn like their Dene and their Cree ways.
Hmm.
Try to learn both ways, that's that's very important. I tell them,
Hmm.
try to.
Yeah. You've shared a lot of your old teachings, and I know one of the things you mentioned is that the mental health part. How important is it to have that language part, and also to carry the teachings like you do? You're able to pass that on to your own kids, and now we deal with so many different things, like you mentioned, technology, social media. They can have an impact. Even the news and all that stuff. And lately, a lot of
Mhm.
stuff in Beishchonenet, and there was another shooting. The effects on young people and mentally, just even adults. Is maybe you're working away. Is how important is it to have that culture new and language to to keep going. I know you say we're resilient, but I always say we're just strong people. We just keep moving forward.
Yeah. Well, like when you're like they say, um the nebizad, just when you're talking that, yeah, just kill. Hey, Ian, you're close to the DN. You're close to the creator, and you're close to all the natural, and natural world, basically. When you use your language, you know, everything here on Mother Earth, um, can nama sando itayadashil, everything above us, Father Sky, and all the very different elements. You're a part of it. You're not you're not above it. You don't. We're not. You have to have respect for it, and you have to, and you have to believe. I guess like those very things have spirits to them, and you have to pray to them, and you and it keeps you in balance, and which is very important. Like one thing, like my mom, she always tells me is you have to keep yourself in balance, like spiritually, mentally, physically, emotionally. You can't just focus on one area. Like you can work out all you want and do all this stuff, but if you're not taking care of yourself, like spiritually, you can kind of get feels like the world's coming in on you sometimes. Like you feel that, and but you have to keep yourself in balance, and when you do that, you're close to the creator. That's and you think with a clear mind, and you're like sometimes when you're kind of going through something, and even just like talking with someone, how you feel that lightness, after. And that's like those ceremonies, they kind of help in that way, you know kind of make things light again for you, and you have a good outlook, positive outlook on life again, and just your thinking, and which is very important, and so that kind of and that goes into your everyday living, how you go about your life, whatever you may be doing, work, sports, all that. It carries on over to that, but you have to kind of look at yourself and take care of yourself. I guess that's where they stress wellness, very important.
It's very important, all around, like you mentioned. It's not all about one thing, but mentally, it affects mentally probably the most. If you
Yeah,
look at the rest of the three, and mentally, as you said, like even if you're driving down a highway, you're thinking. It's non.
yeah,
I know how
oh yeah,
my brain is.
yeah,
Never ends, and even to focus sometimes, is it's crazy. One of the things you mentioned too is to be thankful each day. I
yeah,
always, someone asked me how I'm doing, and I say I'm alive. Well, hey, you
oh
know
yeah,
it's instead of just, oh, good, you know
yeah.
you change the
No, that's
language around.
yeah, especially like when they say like when you first wake up, you gotta be thankful the creator is giving you another day.
Hmm.
They
Another
say
day. Yeah.
another day to make a difference. You always
Yeah.
gotta do something new, do something good.
Yeah. Jason, you left home. They said you've been in Canada 22 years now. You still pretty fluent in your language.
Yeah, yeah. And one of the things that helps, like I listen to we got a radio station back home, that's online now, and well, it's called KTNN 660 from Windrock, and then there's another one in Farmington. So they give the news and Dene, and all these announcements that they make. And then, but the other thing too is it's nice talking to relatives. Like my brother TJ. Every time I get to see him, get to talk with him. Some of the other relatives too. They've got quite a few, quite a few Navajos living around here.
Yeah.
Well, they always say there's Navajos just about anywhere. It's just, geez.
Yeah, I that's how you say it too. Is anytime I run into somebody, I say Dene doge si het or from La Lanche. You always see somebody is Dene somewhere, and I met actually Christian Bergen.
Okay, yeah.
He lives in Onion Lake, I believe, too.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Somewhere around, I believe it's Christian, yeah, and lot of Navajos around, and Jason, one of the things that really is, people when it comes to language, they're trying to find their language, like you say. What would you say for that one person that's kind of searching to keep their language, or you've been away from home, you had to find ways to make it work. So what do you say to that next person that is looking for that?
Well, there's lots of stuff now, like with social media and stuff. There's like uh, you can find it. I don't know, like Facebook, Instagram, and I don't know, maybe even that TikTok. I don't do TikTok, so I don't.
Yeah, you should start.
I don't know. I think that'd be.
A lot of Navajos on there, actually.
I bet there is. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a couple funny Navajo people there. They're just comedians.
Yeah. Yeah. But like a lot of things is well, especially with COVID, happening. So a lot of things went to the internet. Like Zoom, a lot of Zoom kind of meetings or whatever. Like different stuff like that. Um, I think just information that way, it's available, and then podcasts too. I know there's several different podcasts, Navajo podcasts, that I kind of listen to, and uh, just they share different things, some of it like some teachings and some about government, and which reminds me, like this is an election year for us back home, so we got like 15 people running for Navajo Nation president,
Mm,
so it's going to be pretty interesting. There's a couple of good candidates there, some very well educated candidates,
mhm.
so and that'll be kind of a big thing coming up here for us back home. So
You
yeah,
still able to vote?
yeah, I gotta get registered back home, and gonna do just like an absentee ballot kind of deal. So,
Mhm. Hmm.
but yeah, so a lot of things happening back home. It's kind of one of the things I kind of miss. There's certain things that you get to do back home, and like a lot of, like for instance, I grew up with horses, and being around livestock so much, and kind of like rodeos pretty big back home. And I seen that one podcast he did with Brent Dodging Horse there. And,
Mhm.
yeah, and that's pretty big for us back home. So yeah,
Brent's wife is champion barrel
yeah,
racer.
yeah, yeah. Got to meet a bit of her family down here, down in southern Saskatchewan here.
Yeah,
But
she's
like,
actually from the east side here.
yeah,
Ochap,
yeah.
maybe Ochap, somewhere
Uh,
around that way. Kisakus, maybe.
Katawishtaha.
Kakawishtahow, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, there's no hockey though back home,
Yeah, no hockey, no, no.
which is probably, yeah, like tonight, Battle Alberta, I guess. So
Yeah,
our
yeah.
our thing is basketball, like in the winter. That's our sport. So and,
It's like a
that
Netflix
uh,
documentary.
yeah, I used to do some coaching too, and at my kids at school, some high school basketball coaching. And I didn't know Laloche. Apparently, a couple years ago, they had quite a team. They went to the provincials way
The
back.
1983, 80 to in the early 80s, yeah.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
was the coaches, Mr. Greg Hatch, he was my principal, and Julius Park, Walter Park, I believe, maybe Walter Lemig, um, Vincent. Yeah, I'm not sure who. If I seen their picture, I would definitely know who was all there for sure.
yeah. No, I thought that was pretty cool. See that, one of the native teams making it that far.
Yeah, they
Like
only had about 7 guys too, or something like that.
yeah,
Something.
yeah. And that's my boys. They right now they play with that Living Skies basketball league.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're trying to promote more basketball that way, which is good. good to see. And as I know, hockey is very expensive. Only.
Very expensive, it just doesn't seem to end, it's I'm very thankful my mom somehow made that all happen, but
Mhm.
Jason, we've talked a lot of you shared some of your teachings and the importance of carrying on tradition and language here today. Is there anything that you would like to add, leave for your relatives or the people listening here today?
Um, no, just well, this I want to say, I'm just very glad that I was able to come on here and share a little, and I think that's very important. We kind of share with one another, and um, especially like you know Canada, U.S. Like that border, was never there way back. We used to travel, freely back and forth and wherever we wanted, and now we got a border there, and like, and it's pretty tough for us, like for us down south coming up here. We're basically considered immigrants here, and
Hmm.
but there's a J treaty in place, and it's not supposed to be like that, and and we I think it's very important, we share with one another, and sometimes that doesn't happen, pride kind of gets in the way, and it's and I always say, it's we as indigenous people, it seems that's one thing that kind of always gets in our way, that pride and jealousy. We it seems like a lot of nowadays seems a lot of lateral violence, and if we just need to come together and you know help one another. It's very important, I think, that we help one another and learn from one another, and because we're it's a constant battle every day. We're fighting for our ways, our ceremonies, our way of life, really, and even how we govern ourselves, and because like before, like pre-contact, we were a functioning society. We were like in the millions. We and a lot of the things that we did, we were like doctors, we were engineers, and we were biologists, chemists. We had all of that, and I think we just we just got to believe in ourselves, and we believe we can accomplish good things for ourselves and our people. You know,
Hmm.
it's, I think it's really important, especially nowadays. It's tough. It's a crazy world out there. Especially just like what happened in Texas. Like we don't want those kind of things happening in our communities. So it's very important that we keep our ways, because our I think a lot of our elders, they say, it's in our language, our ceremonies, and it's in the culture, those traditions. So, and it's maybe you never know, like we'll meet one another, all the listeners out there, it's always good to meet new people. I enjoy it, wherever I go, try to meet new people and just kind of learn from one another. It's, but yeah, no, thank you for inviting me on here and just to share. It's maison.
Nezu, yeah, Nezu, good stuff. Like you said, it's always good to meet people now, that kind of how you just come up to me and said, hey, it's always good to be able to do that, and just chat, and you never know where the conversation leads. And it's led to you coming on to my podcast and
Yeah,
sharing. It's always good to have the net relatives come and join. It's very difficult actually to invite someone from down there because the Wi-Fi is not that great. Like, it's maybe got to be a phone call, but I don't know what the long
we
distance
gotta
charges are.
we gotta call Elon Musk.
Yeah, Elon Musk has got to give to the Navajo
Yeah,
Nation.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, Jason, I just want to say Masi Cho once again. Do na salhun tatin da durit I the net Navajo culture boss and Ohio too, and then most importantly, mental health. Anytime we can chat mental health, I'm always open for that to get someone to hear any of that information. So with that, maybe another day in the future we'll be able to do this again. So
Yeah,
once again, Masicho.
yeah,
Masicho Jason Bitsuie Hulilati the Net Navajo Nation Duck Lake Nather do 22 years 22 years de no nena nake. Yep. I called and nene de sinai there be a tear the dit out and ni a tear ide and easy resources sant I na ya tear hun toniha. So with that, Duna Masi Choner Hosio, the Edmonton Oilers and the Calgary Flames are going to be live here in a few minutes. And good luck to both teams. I'm not saying who I want to win and don't want any fights right here on Dene Yati podcast. Ita Masi Cho Selodina Te Suduna Te make sure you get your pre-game meal, all of that set right in front of you. You don't have to get up. It's going to be a good hockey game. Masi Cho, si Willis Janvier, Houche in Telas Tours in La Loche, Saskatchewan. Clearwater River Dene Nation band member the Haslu and Dunes in get Treaty 4 territories. No halun tati danadli. Masi Cho.